आसान अगर हम भी उस गाय के भेष में चोरी करने जाएंगे क्या होता है
Wait for a minute. We'll start the session soon. All the participants, please keep your mic off. Let everyone join the meeting. We'll start the session soon. Okay? Please be patient. Kindly keep your mic off.
This is the mimicking model
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir. I'll just check whether Vinod is on or no.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello, Perumal.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Fine.
Just wait for 2 more minutes. We'll start the session at 2:30 exactly. Okay.
तुम्हारा नैनो पार्टिकल फिट है यहाँ पे नैनोटेक का प्रोजेक्ट भी कर रहा है तुम्हें किस में डालना चाहिए उसमें डालना चाहिए ना निकाल
Okay. So I think most of them have joined the session. Okay, Mr. Vinod, you can start introducing the speaker. If anyone else put the mic is on means kindly switch it to mute. Put your mic mute, everyone, please. It will interrupt the session.
We start, Ilya?
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I'm starting.
Yeah, you start. Little louder, please.
Hello everyone. On behalf of AARI Chennai, I take this immense pleasure of welcoming you all to this bio webinar session 2. Today we have our special guest, Dr. A. Stephen, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany at St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. Sir has done his undergraduate and postgraduate from Madras Christian College, Chennai, and his PhD from University of Madras. He also successfully completed several international certificate courses. Academically, he got trained in various renowned institutes like M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation, Chennai, Central Institute of Medical and Aromatic Plants, Bangalore, French Institute of Pondicherry. Prior moving to St. Joseph, he worked as assistant professor in Madras Christian College, RKM Vivekananda College, Chennai, and Transdisciplinary University in Bangalore. He has nearly a decade of experience in teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students and also guiding several research projects fellows. Sir has proven expertise in plant taxonomy, ethnobotany, ecology, plant physiology, anatomy, embryology, and even paleobotany, and several other areas in plant sciences. Sir have publication in several international and national peer-reviewed journals and book chapters for more than 79 and have attended more than 24 international science conferences. Also, he is a sitting member of several prestigious national and international scientific organizations. Also, he is acting member of several peer-reviewed cited journals as a reviewer and advisor. He is a person who received notable awards for his academic excellence from his college days. The achievements of him are numerous to enumerate. In this short time, we are honored today to hear you, sir. I once again welcome you with all the excitation on behalf of AARI.
Yeah. Thank you, Vino. It's my pleasure to be here in this webinar. So many people are joining. Shall we wait one more minute? Because now only I'm seeing so many others are joining.
Yes, sir.
Perumal,
yes,
shall
sir.
we
Already
start?
64 people have
or
joined.
Shall we wait
Others
for
have
another
joined
2
in
minutes?
YouTube also. So they will be joining side by side. You can start, sir. No problem. It's almost. Otherwise, we can wait for more 2 minutes. At 2:35, we can start.
So we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Let them
1 or
join.
2 minutes. Yeah, because
2:35 will start
many
the session.
people are
No problem.
joining and having some difficulties in the network and other things.
Yes, sir.
So usually we talk in front of audience. Now virtually we are talking with the people from various walks of life. I've interacted with Perumal. Yeah.
Yes, who's that?
Hello.
Yeah, we request all the participants to keep their mics at mute. We may have the discussion session at the last of the webinar. So I kindly request you all the participants to keep their mic at mute. Yes, sir. Sir, you please carry on. You were sharing your experience.
Yeah. Actually, Perumal was drilling me like anything.
Yes.
Yesterday he showed the participants list. It is a multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary audience. So my whole presentation, it will not be focused with one particular area or one particular science or one particular branch of science. So I will keep in mind with all the audience what are all the various things we can do with the medicinal plants. So that is the basic prior input I want to give about the medicinal plants. So I'll start with the presentation. Now I'll move on to the sharing.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. It's visible. You can start.
Yes. Yes. First of all, good afternoon to one and all. Before starting the presentation, I would like to thank the Annakili Amma Research Institute, the in charge of all the people who are behind this scene, worked very hard to bring all these people into the platform. Especially, I must thank the Perumal for this wonderful platform, bringing all the people from various places. Hello? Yeah, from the various places. It's Perumal drilled me like anything, and he showed a keen interest, and he wants to put everything, sir. He was asking for presentation for a very long time. More than 15 days back, he approached me, said, "You give some talk to rekindle the research aspects of the medicinal plants." So I just accepted this. I must thank Perumal for this particular endeavor. Usually we walk and talk. That is the any seminar we usually walk and talk. But because of this pandemic, the corona and other things, we just sit and talk. Okay, so it is fantastic. It's a friendly meeting. If you have any doubts or any clarification, anything to be asked, you can put it in the chat box. You can we'll try to answer all the questions at the last thing. Okay, is it okay? Okay. And one more thing is, I just wanted to start with this this presentation by the famous quote by Galileo: "You cannot teach anybody or anything. You can only help them to find it within themselves." So that is my idea. So I just wanted to tell whatever things already you know yourself. I'm just going to rekindle the things, and whatever I'm showing about the medicinal plants, it's just a tip of the iceberg. Not even the tip of the iceberg. It is a fraction of the fraction drop of the ocean. So that is what I wanted to tell in this particular thing. So as you all aware of the plants provide all the things whatever we need the human beings. It could be categorized into comfort zone, or it could be categorized into fun zone, or it could be necessity things. Especially if you check necessity things, it is very important. The medicinal plants are very important resources what we are getting from the plants. So once we say medicine, we need to know what is for this particular medicine is given. Usually the medicine is given for any diseases which affects the human beings, especially from the pathogen point, when a pathogen enters into the body. So the term disease itself is giving it is a disorder of a structure or a function. In a literally sense, in a normal way, whatever you are doing, you cannot do when a pathogen enters. Usually when we have a pathogen entry, we'll have a symptoms. It could be a physiological symptoms, or it could be a physical symptoms, or it could be anything. So, or both the things. So physiological symptoms, usually the fever and other pains and other things are physiological symptoms, which shows that there is an entry of pathogen. So that entry of pathogen will not allow you to do any of the work which you are normally you are doing. So that is yes. There is a one statistics: 6 million people per year die of a particular disease. That disease I'll talk in little later about what is that disease and other things. Usually a disease should be cured by a successful drug. So this drug should kill the pathogen, not the normal cells. That is very, very important. That is where we are trying to get the medicines or the any drugs from the plants. Plants usually, the most of the plants we eat it is not harmful. But even if it is harmful, we try to extract the ingredient and give to the patients to cure or kill the particular pathogen. That is very important about the drugs we are getting from the plants. So plants are the nature's pharmacy, where we'll get lot of secondary metabolites. Those secondary metabolites can be utilized to cure most of these diseases. Especially when you talk about the plants, because many of you are coming from zoology background, microbiology, all these different Perumal, there is some interference.
Yeah, I will take care.
Yeah. So usually the plants, if you take a Linnaeus classification, anything which is not moving, which is not having any mortality, they are called as plants. So he is having only two types of kingdoms. One is Plantae, the other one is Animalia. But later, when it comes to R.H. Whittaker, he classified all the organisms into 5 different kingdoms: Protista, Protaxis, Monera, then your Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. So when you consider plants, there are 4 different groups: bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, and angiosperms are considered as embryophytes or true plants, because they produce embryo or they are coming from embryo. That is very, very important. In a general way, we consider all the things are plants, especially algae, even the cyanobacteria. They are all considered as plants in earlier days. But now, after 1969, R.H. Whittaker's classification, only the 4 groups are considered into true plants. So that is very, very important. So as you see, this particular slide, the plant is called as Gloriosa superba. The name is not that much important. The very important is the curative property of this particular plant. This particular plant is very, very poisonous plant, because the alkaloids which is present in the roots, it is very, very harmful to the human beings. Even if it is given to some people, it will definitely affect the fatality is very, very high. But we can isolate the ingredients from this roots, especially the colchicine and chloriosin. These chemicals are highly used as a drugs, especially reduce the labor pain and other things. And one more important thing about this particular plant is the name itself suggests the glorious and superb. When they wanted to describe this particular plant, the flower is very, very glorious flower. So they called it as a Gloriosa superba. That is the etymology of this particular plant. And this particular plant is curing gout, G-O-U-T. This particular disease, wherein the uric acid crystals will be accumulated in the joints of the body. So people, over a period of time, they cannot move, they cannot walk, they cannot do anything about when they are affected by this particular disease. So this particular disease is cured or can be cured by Gloriosa superba. And it is a state flower of Tamil Nadu, because being AARI is located in Tamil Nadu, so I just wanted to start with this particular thing. And this particular thing is a variation, because taxonomically people are saying there is a variation or it is a new separate variety. This was recorded in Indian Botanical Garden in Kolkata. This is another thing. The next one is Capparis zeylanica. This particular plant is a very important plant. Before getting into this plant, the Indian region, if you take Indian region, the South India, if you take, it is divided into several kingdoms. Several people ruled in this particular area. So we usually call it Chera, Sola, and Pandya. And Chera is usually the Malabar and other places. Chola is in the Tanjavur and other districts, whereas the Pandya is the Madurai and other districts. Whereas this particular Capparis zeylanica is distributed in South India as well as in the Sri Lankan region. And in this particular plant is in Tamil it is called as Adondai. Adondai means it's a plant which is present in the Tondai Mandalam. So the northern districts of Tamil Nadu, which is called as Tondai Mandalam, where you will find this particular plant. And this particular plant is very important plant where it can be used as a laxative, and leaves are used as a counter irritant and as a catabalsam in boils and swellings. Even in the piles and rheumatism it can be used. So both these plants, Capparis zeylanica as well as Gloriosa superba, they are climbers or climbing shrubs, whereas our Indian medicinal tree flora, if you just take, there are umpteen number of tree species we have in our flora. There are about 490 arborescent taxa, and of which more than 60% are endemic. The endemic means they are present only in a particular area. If that is removed in that particular from area, eradicated from that particular area, it will not be present in that particular area. So that is very important about the tree diversity, medicinal tree flora of India. And usually the medicinal tree flora is less bothered because the ethnoparmacological studies are not well done with respect to the medicinal tree flora. So people can take umpteen number of plants and they can isolate various chemicals present in the medicinal tree flora. One such, let me take into the next slide. The plant is called as Pterocarpus santalinus, which is present only in the deciduous forest or the semi-evergreen forest of Eastern Ghats, especially in the Kadapa and other Andhra Pradesh regions, where this Pterocarpus santalinus is highly present. And when you take about this particular plant, there are three important uses we can see this particular tree. One is timber. Timber is highly valued. The other one is medicinal importance. This particular tree is used in the traditional medicine as an antipyretic. It will reduce the fever, and it is used as an anti-inflammatory and diaphoretic, hyperglycemic. All these things can be controlled by this particular plant. And this particular plant is extensively used in Chinese and other traditional medicine. That's why people are illegally exporting this particular plant. And moreover, there is another important thing is there is an instrument, the Japanese musical instrument called samisen is produced from this particular tree. Especially the neck of the musical instrument. If you just see the musical instrument, it will be great. So this slide shows the musical instrument which is extensively used in Japan, where Japanese region is not supporting Pterocarpus santalinus, but it is exported illegally because it is a scheduled tree. It is exported to the Chinese and Japanese region, and where they are extracting oil and other things, and they are using for this kind of musical instrument. That is why it is illegally cut and exported. The next one is, most of you have seen the heartwood of this particular plant, but this is the flower of a plant. This is called as Santalum album. So Santalum album is a very important. The Santalum oil is very important. It's widely used in folk medicine. It is widely used as various preparations, especially the the antioxidant potential of alpha santalol. There is a chemical called as alpha santalol, and their anti-hyperglycemic activity is very proven. But we have plenty of santalum album in our forest area, but now it is highly reduced. It is highly reduced because of various reasons. Because the farmers where it is naturally growing has to go to the forest department, and they have to inform the forest department. They have a particular sapling, and they have to protect that particular sapling till the maturity. After the maturity, they have to approach the forest department for the cut and selling of this particular plant. So that is why it is very the farmers are not happy with this particular plant. So immediately when it is growing automatically in the forest, it will be plucked out. So if you go to the Chiteri and other areas in Eastern Ghats, you will find plenty of sandalwood trees once, but now it is all gone. And if you just take about the Karnataka, because it's a state tree plant of tree of Karnataka, where they are importing, the last year data says 100 tons of sandalwood tree from Australia. But Australia is now exporting, but Australian plants, whether it is eucalyptus or acacia, we are imported from those regions, and it is suppressing our native flora. So we have to consider all these things when it comes to the medicinal tree flora. The general weakness, even you don't have any disease, but you have a general weakness, general dizziness or something, you can have a drop of sandalwood oil and mixed with the hot water or milk, and you can drink it. So that will enhance your general healthness of your body. So that is very important about this particular plant. The next comes to another important plant that is called as Tamarindus indica. So the name suggests indica, that means it belongs to Indian region, but it is not. It is not our Indian plant. It is early introduced plant, which is originated in tropical African forest, wherein the native people never used the fruits for as a condiments. So that is very important about this Tamarindus indicas. And this Tamarindus indicas, if you just take the Tamarindus indicas throughout the Southeast Asia, the fruit of the tamarind is used to apply as a poultice to foreheads of fever sufferers. So that is very important about this particular plant. And the fruit exhibits laxative effects, and in high quantities, because of the high quantities of malic acid and tartaric acid, and usually it relieves the constipation, and it is extensively documented throughout the world. And if you just take this particular plant, it reduces all these things, fine, but it is not a native plant. And before this introduction of this particular plant, what are the other plants we have used for our condiment purposes or our cuisine? Especially the Garcinia gummicata, Garcinia indica, Garcinia xanthozymus, and Garcinia morella. All these plants we have been using as a condiment in our food, and it is highly used, and very less activities, very less scientific studies have been done in this particular plant. So we can take several of these plants and we can study what is the pharmaceutical ingredients or pharmacological studies we can perform in this particular thing. So in this aspect, we have to combine many of the branches. We should work with the taxonomy, with the phytochemist, with the zoologists, with the biotechnologists, how to improve or how to achieve the best out of the things, out of the medicinal plants. And let me take into a particular disease. Worldwide, now the corona is suppressing everybody's activity, but before that, there is one particular disease which takes the lives of everybody on the earth is called as cancer. This cancer, every year 6 million people die. That's what I mentioned in the disease slide. Every year there are about 6 million people died because of the cancers. And especially when you take about the Indian population, there are 10% of Indians to develop cancer. So this is a World Health Organization's data of last year, and every year it is increasing manifold. And whenever when you take anything, the sauce, whether it is a tomato sauce or the chili sauce, there are a lot of things added as a preservatives. And if you closely observe, they will just contains permitted class 2 or class 3 preservatives. And if you just take acetic acid, acetylated distats, adipate, xanthan gum, sodium benzoate, all these things are some of the class 2 preservatives. And if you just take all these preservatives, there is no proper evidences whether it is giving cancer or any other diseases, because there is no prolonged study. There is no 5 years, 6 years, 15 years of intake of all these things. What will happen to this human body? So it is very, very difficult to ascertain whether it is really causing any disease, or we have to wait for certain things. When you come to the medicinal flora, so anti-cancer drugs, the first drug developed in 1981, Podophyllum plant, it is the chemical is called as podophyllatoxin. And there are umpteen number of plants from our own region, whether it is a Western Ghats or our Himalayan region. There are plenty of plants which are which are considered as anti-cancer drugs. And when you consider the anti-tumor or anti-cancer tree species, Nothopoidetes, Mesua, Aphanomyxis, Semicarpus, Butea monosperma, Hymenodictyon, all these things, all these plants have certain anti-tumor activity. So that is need to be explored more. If you just take podophyllatoxin, there are two chemicals, edopside and tiniopside, and isolated from Podophyllum peltatum and Podophyllum emodi, and they cure cancer, lymphomas and leukemias, and pediatric cancer, neuroblastoma and other things. When you consider another important thing is Catharanthus roseus. There are two chemicals, Vincristine and Vinblastine, which is concentrated in the root region, and it cures childhood leukemia as well as the Hodgkin's disease. This Catharanthus roseus is not our own plant. It is coming from the Madagascar region. And if you take the quantity of Vincristine Vinblastine, it is 0.001% only in the root region. And now the recent study says it is not belongs to Madagascar region, it belongs to the West Indies region. If you Google it, West Indies and the Madagascar, there are more than 5,000 kilometers away from this particular region. So there is a great questionability of origin of this particular plant. When you consider the Catharanthus roseus, we have Catharanthus pusillus, another indigenous Indian species which is widely present in the Indian and Sri Lankan region. If you just take this Catharanthus pusillus, there is only one study is taken so far in this particular thing. They have identified the antibacterial property of Catharanthus pusillus, and they have published in 2013. There is no such studies whether it is easily curing cancer or any other disease. So no studies have been taken place in this particular plant. So people can take some of these plants and they can work some of these ideas and other things to explore. When you take the Paclitaxel, another cancer curing chemical, which is originally obtained from Taxus brevifolia, which is found in the native to Pacific Northwest of North America. But we have our own Taxus species, Taxus baccata, Himalayan hue, where the Paclitaxel is obtained, which is much higher quantity. That is very, very important, which cures breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and lung cancers. Another important chemical is camptothecin, originally isolated from Campotica acuminata. There are two chemical, irinodecan and topodecan. They cure colorectal cancer and ovarian and small cell lung cancer. But if you take a Campotica acuminata, our own Indian plants, when you go to the Western Ghats, Nothopoditis nimayana, Nothopoditis fidata, all these things, as well as the Miculia dendata, they have camptothecin in their active principle. But the quantity is very, very high in these plants, whereas in camptothecin only 0.001%, whereas in Nothopoditis nimayana and Miculia dendata, the quantity is much higher than the original plant. So we are so blessed with all these plants. Another important plant is Tinospora cordifolia, where you will find palmatin, tenocoridicin, youngambine. All these things are highly useful chemicals against cancer and other ailments. This Tinospora cordifolia is extensively used in the Siddha medicines, but still a lot more to be explored in this particular plant. People can explore many things in this particular thing. Another important medicinal plant is Andrographis paniculata. And last time when people are affected by dengue fever, this was cured by Andrographis paniculata. It is called as neem of the ground. And this whole plant can treat fever, snake bite, and it can purify breast milk, and it can stop the internal hemorrhage and vomiting. All those things can be gets from the Andrographis paniculata. The next one is Crocus sativa. It is the very costliest spice on the earth, which is extensively grown in Himachal region, which is curing human lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, skin carcinoma, and other things. So all these things are very, very important.
Sir,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah. Yes.
If this meeting disconnected in 1 minute, kindly rejoin with the same username and password, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Continue.
Sure. Yeah. And the next one is gingiber officinale. There are several compounds isolated, extensively studied is gingerol, gingerone, and paradol. They are all curing cancer. They are cancer preventive active. They shows cancer preventive activity. And another important thing is when you take spices, the curcumin obtained from Curcuma longa is a very important antioxidant and anti-inflammatory property have in this particular plant. The rhizome is natural resource of curcumin. So it is a most powerful chemopreventive and anti-cancer agent. When you talk about this curcuma longa, we should always think about the documentation, especially in US Patent Office. This particular plant,
Hello. Hello, sir. Have you joined?
Yeah.
Wait for 1 minute, sir. Kindly wait for 1 minute.
Yes.
Let others join.
Yes. Let them join.
Most of them are
No
joining.
problem. No problem.
Yes, sir. You can start now. I think most of them has joined.
Yes.
Others will join meanwhile.
Yeah. Well, shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The next important disease is diabetes, and our plants, especially Gymnema, neem, aloe vera, stevia, Tinospora, fenugreek, turmeric, all these things can cure anti-diabetic problem. So they are having anti-diabetic activity. Permal, can you mute everyone?
Yes, sir. I am doing that. Kindly, all participants, please mute your mic.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The very important plant is Syzygium cumini. This is very important plant. The seeds are very sweet, astringent, and usually in the traditional medicine it is given for the diabetes. But in a allopathic medicine, in a scientific validation, it is not proving enough to cure the diabetes. That is very, very important. So in traditional medicine, Siddha medicine, it is given, the Syzygium cumini is given for diabetes, but it is not giving the same results in the allopathic medicine. That is very, very important, and we should consider why it is not giving. So we should combine with a Siddha practitioner how they are preparing or how they are giving these seeds as a medicine for the diabetes. That is very, very important. So transdisciplinary studies very, very important in a modern era where we need to prove that plants are very, very important. Plants are curing, but when they are isolating certain chemicals or certain things, it is not proving the same way. So we have to combine many things and we have to prove that it is working. Another important plant is Tridax procumbens. It is not our plant, but still it is a wound healing property is very, very important. Whenever we play in the grounds and other places where if accidentally we wounded, immediately we just pull this particular herb and we just crush the leaves and put it on the wounds, and it is acting as an anticoagulant. And we have to isolate the compounds and we have to find out which compound is giving that particular anticoagulant. That is very, very important. And again, this Senna alata, it is originally from tropical American plant. And why I am including, because if you take the flora of India, there are about umpteen number of plants, more than 10 or 20,000 plants we have in the Indian region, and among these 20,000 plants, roughly 40% of the plants are not our plants or not Indian origin. They are coming from other places, and especially the Senna alata is leaves used to cure ringworms, herbs, skin diseases, syphilis, and other diseases. And the next important plant is the Melia asadiract, or it is called as Malay Vembu. And especially when you talk about the modern lifestyle, everybody is running for their things. Now the corona is making us to sit and think why we have to run, why we have to do all these things. And especially the females, they develop one important disease in their lifestyle because of their lifestyle. One is PCOD, polycystic ovarian syndrome. This PCOD is cured in the traditional medicine using this particular plant, Melia asadiract. But again, that is very, very important. The application of this particular plant through the traditional medicine, because in traditional medicine the way in which they are giving, that is very, very important, because if you are taking raw, it is very, very difficult because it is a highly toxic plant, Melia asadiract. It can kill the person. So we have to extract and mix it with the warm milk, and we have to take it, and we should take very little quantity of this particular Melia asadiract. There are a couple of studies which are going in IBM's Dharamani campus in University of Madras, where in the Department of Genetics, some people are working on this particular Melia asadiract on the PCOD problems. And usually it induces uterus relaxation. So that is another important thing about this Melia asadiract. When you talk about these plants, the another important plant is Alstoria scholaris, which is extensively present in the Malabar coastal regions, wherein it is called as yatshi. This particular plant is a very good laxative. The bark and the bark extract is used as a laxative, and the milky juice has been applied to treat ulcers, and especially the decoction of the leaves were used to treat the beriberi disease. So that is very important, and some of the properties, anti-cancer and anti-asthmatic property of this particular plant is very, very promising. So we need to develop certain drugs out of this particular plant. And the next one is Abachilan indigum. Till date, even in allopathic medicine, the only curative thing for the piles is from this particular plant. And this particular plant is not only curing the piles, it is an aphrodisiac plant. What is meant by aphrodisiac? It increases the desire towards the opposite sex. That is very, very important. In ancient days, the people who are engaged with the marriage and other things, they started to give before the marriage, 6 months before the marriage of people, they usually give this particular plant every day mixed with honey and other things. So, and this enhances a safe and quick pregnancy. That is why in the ancient, the last decades and couple of decades ago, people usually their pregnancy rate is very high because of all these traditional things. Now we lost all those traditional things, and because of this, we are going behind the gynecologist, all these problems. So that is very, very important about this particular plant. The next one is Crotalarla verrucosa. This plant is a very good blood purifier, and also this flowers produce camphorol, another important thing, and it the roots are used to treat against fever and stomach pains. And especially when you talk about this plant, many plants are used in the traditional medicines, but as a biotechnologist, as a phytochemist, we have to extract, some of the ingredients we have to extract, and we have to prove this particular ingredient is useful for the particular disease. That is where the scientific validation is very, very important for many of these particular plants. And the next one is the Calophyllum, inophyllum. This is from the mangrove, non-core mangrove tree species. This oil obtained from the seeds, which is called as tamano oil, which is used against the skin diseases and rheumatism, and sometimes it is used as a biodiesel also. So that is another important thing. This particular plant, many people know, Moringa oleifera, and all the parts of the Moringa oleifera, drumstick is used extensively, and it can cure many diseases. And if you have a drumstick, you no need to use the walking stick. That is what it is written in Tamil, Murungai Nattavan, Verungai Yodu Povan. So if you are continuously taking drumstick, you no need the walking stick. That is very, very important. The next one is Clitoria ternata. This is another important memory enhancing plant, and both the species, both the color, and another important thing is the color variation is not a variety or anything. They are all same species. Even the pink color flower is the same species. There are multi-gene interaction. Because of that, there is a color variation in this particular plant, and we need to identify which plant, whether it is white variety or a pink variety or blue variety, which is used to enhance the memory. That is very, very important. There is a lot of things to work on medicinal plants. This is Ibanthus anispermus, which is popularly called as Purusha Lakshanam. Usually it increases the sperm count in the males. So that is very, very important. In Tamil it is called as Oridar Tamarai. Only one petal is prominent and it is pink in color. That is why it is called as Oridar, one petaled lotus. Okay. One of my students worked on this particular group called as Philanthus. There are about more than 4 or 5 patents registered from University of Madras, former Vice Chancellor, registered patent on this particular plant. And there are 13, 14 herbaceous Philanthus species we have in our Indian region. It is called as Nilanelli, and it is an excellent curative for jaundice. Till date, jaundice is cured because of the Philanthus, and it reduces the intestinal pain and menstrual problems, all gastrointestinal problems. This Philanthus is reducing. So there are several different species we have in Philanthus. Many species we are not finding any phytochemical analysis. This is Cardia dichotoma in Indian culture. In many of the festivals, we'll find many of the fruits, many of the things. One such fruit is this Cardia dichotoma. We call it as a Mukusali Param because of the slimy nature of the seed coat. And it cures dyspepsia, fever, ringworm, ulcers, and it helps in the prolapse of uterus or vagina. So all these things are some of the attributions for this particular plant. The next one is Moringa pubescens. This is called as Manjanati, and it is proved that antioxidant and anti-cancer plant. The next one is Centella asiatica. This is a memory increasing plant. This is called as Manjukaparni in Ayurvedic system. It is having a rejuvenating properties. Similarly, Bacopa monnieri, and in Ayurvedic treatment, it is used for epilepsy, malarial fever, and asthma and other diseases. The asparagus racemosus, which is called as sadavari, which is highly used in the gastric ulcers, dyspepsia, uterinic tonic, and galactoc. It improves the breast milk. The next one is Mucuna pruriens. In any medicine which is given for the weakness of male impotency, you will find this Mucuna pruriens. There is a chemical called as levodopa. This levodopa is a precursor to dopamine. Dopamine is an important chemical messenger which was involved in the reward, motivation, memory, all these things. So this levodopa is extensively present in this particular plant, Mucuna pruriens. The next one is Emidesmus, which is, there are umpteen number of diseases cured by Emidesmus indicus, especially it manages the disorders which is pertaining to the female reproductive system, and it is an excellent coolant of the human body. The root, the extract from the root is very, very important. It can be consumed as a juice also. The Senna auriculata or Cassia auriculata, this is famous plant. It is a shrubby plant. Its identification is very easy in the field. It is having a stipule, foliaceous stipule. It improves the complexion in human. That is very, very important. They just take internally as well as they powder it and they apply and they wash their face and the body. It increases the complexion in human. So that is very, very important, and it is cured the rheumatism and eye diseases, gonorrhea, diabetes, and especially in the goat also. This is a Mimicelan umbulatum. Keystone species in the tropical dry evergreen forest, and this particular plant which cures gonorrhea, leukorrhea, menorrhagia, diabetes, cough, and so many things. The next one is Raichia tinctoria. This is again the parasitic worms inside the human body can be killed by this particular plant, the Raichia tinctoria, and it removes the waste and toxins from the body, and the latex from the plant. It is very, very harmful as such, but the secondary metabolites isolated from this particular plant can cure many diseases, and it is also act as an aphrodisiac plant. Butea monosperma, again, this is a keystone species in the tropical deciduous as well as dry evergreen forest. Flame of the forest, because the flower, when it is blooming, the entire forest appears like as if it is in the flame. That is why it is called as flame of forest, and it cures the inflammation and gonorrhea and other swelling in the body. And it also regularizes the menstrual cycle, because many of the women will not have the regularization of menstrual cycle. They will have irregular periods. So that irregular periods can be cured by this Mutea monosperma. And when you talk about the Mutea monosperma, there is another variety, Mutea monosperma variety lutea, which is located only in the northern part of India. There are very less studies about this Mutea monosperma variety lutea. So people can take this particular plant to study phytochemically and pharmacognostically what is the ingredient, why there is a variation, all those things. The Vitis vinifera, I'm not going to talk about much about this particular grapes, but another indigenous plant which is called as Pirandai, and in Siddha medicine it is called Asti Samkharaga Vajravalli. It is called a Cissus quadrangularis, but it prevents the destruction of bones. So it increases the the strength of the bones. That is why it is called as Vajra. Vajra means it increases, it strengthens. Valli means Kodi. Valli means climber. The next one is Ebrus precatorius. The white variety is very, very important, which is the oil obtained from this white variety is claimed to be an aphrodisiac, and seed juice used in chronic inflammation and of mucous membrane and connecting the eyeball and inner eyelid. So that can be cured by this particular thing. As it's raw, if you are taking that, this one will be harmful to the human body. The next one is Alpinia calcarata. I just rush because it is already 3:26. Is present in this particular plant, which inhibits the growth of breast tumor cells in vitro. So in vivo studies, we are waiting for the results from this particular Alpinia officinarum. The nerva lanata, the kidney stones, can be cured by this particular plant, extensively used in the traditional medicine. The Erva lanata we have, it is already proven, but Erva javanica, another species we have, but very less studies we have there in that particular plant. The Euphorbia ita, it is called as asthma plant. Till date, there is no, because I've seen the registration, many chemistry people also registered, especially the chemistry of the latex is not known to the scientific world. You can take up this particular plant and you can isolate the latex and identify what are all the chemicals present in that particular latex, because this latex cures the warts and other things. If you have a warts or anything, if you continuously put this latex, it will be cured within 15-20 days. That is very, very important. When you talk about the medicinal plants, there are several challenges we have in this medicinal plants, and majority of the drugs, especially the anti-tumor screening programs, identification of number of anti-tumor agents we have, but the developing into drug level, it is very, very poor. So that is very, very important. We have so many number of anti-tumor plants, inflammatory plants, but it is not going up to the level of drugs. That is very, very important challenge we are facing in now. So there is a transdisciplinary studies we need to undertaken to avoid this particular challenge. Let me conclude the presentation by just giving some of the things, especially the Ayurvedic and Siddha therapy. There are several medicinal plants which are curing chronic diseases better than the Western medicinal practices. But the scientific validation is very, very poor. That is very, very important. So we need to prove scientifically whatever we have with the traditional medicinal practices. So there is a need of interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary studies. So we need to identify the bioresources for bioprospecting and other things. So with that, I just conclude. So if you have any questions or comments, you can put it in the chat box. Once again, I thank the audience, because any success is because of the audience. Thank you, one and all. Perumal, if you have any questions, you can ask.
There is one question. I would like to know the plants. I would like to know the plants which we used to use day to day for curing nervous related problem.
Can you repeat the question? Perumal, can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Wait. There are so many messages running, so I'm getting trouble to find it. Just give me a minute, sir.
Please.
Actually, it was like which plant in day-to-day life we use for nervous diseases.
Nervous diseases.
Yeah,
See,
nervous something.
There are a number of plants.
Nervous-related problems.
Neuro problems,
Yeah.
especially if you take Centella asiatica or Avena sativa or Cassia tora, Cassia fistula, all these plants.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So especially Centella asiatica, Cassia fistula, all these plants are already proven there is a nervous disorders can be cured.
Okay, sir. So.
Hello.
Yeah. You can ask.
Please ask questions. No problem.
And sir, there is one more question from
Yes.
Sri Tutikare. I would like to know plants that we can use to improve immunity in this pandemic corona.
Yeah. See, as I already told you, the vitamin C rich plants, whatever is boosting the vitamin C, you can take it. Citrus related plants. So it will boost up your immune system.
Okay. So which plant or plant pot mixture of plants can be used to increase immunity of children? Sir, your voice is little low, sir. Kindly please little louder.
Yeah. Can you?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, immunity of children, you can use the citrus fruits. Okay, citrus fruits. You give ginger, all these plants, especially pepper. All these things can increase the immunity in the children.
Okay, sir. And there is one more question, like in Chennai climate, which plant can we grow?
Most of the plant what I have shown in the presentation is coming from the Chennai and around region only.
Yeah. Is there any side effect of these plants?
Yes. See, even the aloe vera, people are telling we should not take as such, because if